I was standing in the doorway of his beach house in Cannon Beach, my hands gripping the frame so hard my knuckles turned white. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, I could see him. Marcus, my fiancé, the man I'd given up a law partnership for. Walking. Not just walking, jogging across the sand like he'd done it every morning of his life. The engagement ring felt heavy on my finger. 3 carats, platinum band, custom designed. I'd admired it so many times, turning my hand to catch the light. Now it felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. I need to back up. I need to tell you how I got here, standing in this doorway at 54 years old, watching my entire life crack apart like the Pacific waves against those rocks. 5 years ago, I was divorced, bitter, and drowning myself in work. I'd made partner at Thornton & Associates in Portland after clawing my way up for 12 years. My ex-husband, David, had left me for his dental hygienist when I was 32. Cliché, I know. But clichés exist because they happen all the damn time. My younger sister Rachel got remarried that spring. Her second wedding was this beautiful garden ceremony in Seattle, all white roses and string quartets. I was her maid of honor, standing there in a pale blue dress that cost more than my first car, watching her glow with happiness. She was only 30, already on husband number 2, and I was 34, single, and beginning to feel like damaged goods. "You'll find someone," my mother whispered to me during the reception, squeezing my hand. But her eyes said something different. They said, "You're running out of time." I threw myself harder into work. Class action lawsuits, corporate litigation, 18-hour days. My apartment in the Pearl District was just a place to shower and change clothes. The senior partners loved me. My body hated me. I was living on coffee, takeout, and 3 hours of sleep. Then I met Marcus at a fundraiser for accessible housing. The firm had bought a table. I almost didn't go, but Janet, one of the other partners, had just had a baby, and someone needed to represent us. So there I was, in a black cocktail dress I'd owned for 5 years, nursing a glass of wine I didn't want, when he rolled up to my table. "Is this seat taken?" he asked, gesturing to the empty chair beside me. I looked up, and my first thought was, he has kind eyes. My second thought was noticing the wheelchair. A sleek, expensive-looking manual chair. He wore a charcoal suit that fit him perfectly, and his salt and pepper hair was just messy enough to look intentional. "It's all yours," I said. His name was Marcus Holloway, 42, real estate developer. He owned half the new condos going up in the Pearl and was expanding into Seattle. He was funny, sharp, and didn't mention the wheelchair once. We talked about Portland's housing crisis, about the lawsuit I was working on, about his work with accessibility advocacy. "Most buildings are designed by people who've never had to think about how someone in a chair experiences space," he said, his hands moving expressively. A half-inch lip in a doorway? Completely invisible to an able-bodied architect. Completely impassable to me. I found myself leaning in, genuinely interested. When was the last time I'd had a conversation that wasn't about billable hours? "How did you?" I started, then stopped. "Sorry, that's probably rude to ask." "Car accident," he said simply. 7 years ago. Drunk driver ran a red light. I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. "I'm sorry." "Don't be. I'm not dead, and I'm not sorry about who I've become." He smiled. "Though I do miss running. I was training for a marathon when it happened." Something about his directness, his lack of self-pity, drew me in. We exchanged numbers. He texted me 2 days later. "Coffee? I know a place with the best accessible parking in Portland." I laughed when I read it. I said yes. Our first date lasted 6 hours. We met for coffee at 11 in the morning and didn't part ways until dinner. He told me about growing up in Eugene, about his company, about his love of the Oregon coast. I told him about law school, about my divorce, about my complicated relationship with my mother. "She means well," I said, "but she's got this countdown clock in her head, like I'm going to expire if I don't get married again before 35. "My ex-fiancé left me after the accident," Marcus said quietly. "We were at a wine bar by then, our second location of the day. 3 months in, she said she couldn't handle it, that she'd signed up for a different life. That's horrible. It taught me something important, though. It showed me who really loved me and who loved the idea of me." He looked at me directly. I'd rather be alone than be someone's burden or their charity case. I reached across the table and took his hand. You're not a burden. We started dating. Really dating. He'd pick me up in his modified van, hand controls, a ramp, the whole setup, and we'd drive out to the coast. We'd have dinner at restaurants where I learned to notice things I'd never noticed before. Was there a ramp? Were the tables too close together? Were the bathrooms actually accessible or just technically compliant? I started seeing the world differently. Started seeing him differently. Not as someone in a wheelchair, but as Marcus. Brilliant, funny, ambitious Marcus, who called me at midnight when he knew I was still at the office and told me to go home. Who sent flowers to my firm with notes that said, "You're working too hard, and remember to eat." 3 months in, he told me he loved me. We were at his house in Portland Heights, this beautiful modern place he'd designed himself. Everything was accessible, wide doorways, zero threshold showers, counters at varying heights. "I love you, Claire," he said. We were on his deck, looking out over the city lights. "I know it's fast, but I'm 42 years old and I know what I want. I want you." I kissed him. "I love you too." But there was still that voice in my head, the one that wondered, are you settling? Are you with him because you're desperate to not be alone? Because your sister is married and your mother won't stop asking when you'll give her grandchildren? I pushed the voice away. Marcus was good to me. He was successful, intelligent, kind. He treated me better than David ever had. What did it matter that he was in a wheelchair? 6 months into our relationship, the senior partners at my firm started talking about a new branch, Seattle. Someone would need to oversee it. They offered me the position. It was everything I'd worked for. My name on the door, full equity partnership, a corner office overlooking Puget Sound. And it was 3 hours away from Marcus. "Take it," he said when I told him. "But, Claire, this is your dream. Don't give it up for me." "What if I don't want to?" I heard myself say. "What if I want something different?" He looked at me for a long moment. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying maybe I'm tired of working 80-hour weeks. Maybe I'm tired of my entire life being about cases and clients and billable hours." I took a breath. "Maybe I want a life that includes you. You'd turn down the Seattle office for me? I'd turn it down for us." He kissed me then, deeply, and when he pulled back there were tears in his eyes. "Marry me." "What?" He rolled to his bedroom and came back with a ring box. Inside was the most beautiful ring I'd ever seen. "I was going to wait," he said. "Make it romantic. But Claire, I love you. I want to spend my life with you. Will you marry me?" I said yes. Of course I said yes. I told the firm I was stepping back from partner track. They were disappointed but not surprised. "You've been burning out for years," Janet said gently. "Maybe this is good for you." My mother was thrilled. "Finally," she said when I called her. "Oh, honey, I'm so happy for you." Rachel was more cautious. "Are you sure?" she asked when I showed her the ring. "I mean, he's great, but you're giving up a lot." "I'm gaining more than I'm losing," I told her. Marcus and I started planning the wedding. We bought a house together in Cannon Beach, right on the water, a modern, accessible house that we designed together. I put most of my savings into it. Marcus insisted on paying for the accessibility modifications himself. "This is our home," he said. Equal partners. I took a position at a smaller firm, consulting part-time, 20 hours a week instead of 80. Marcus and I had breakfast together every morning. We'd watch the sunset from our deck. We talked about having kids, maybe adopting, since time was running out for me biologically. Life was good. Better than good. I was happy in a way I'd never been with David. Then, one Saturday morning, 8 months after we got engaged, Marcus said he had to go to Portland for a site visit. Some issue with one of his buildings. "I'll be back by dinner," he said, kissing me goodbye. I decided to spend the day at the beach house, doing some work, enjoying the quiet. Around noon, I realized I'd left my laptop charger in the bedroom. I walked in and saw Marcus's phone on the nightstand, buzzing with a text. I almost didn't look. But something made me pick it up. The text was from someone named Ethan. "See you at the gym at 2. Don't skip leg day again." Leg day. My stomach dropped. Marcus didn't go to a gym. He worked out at home, upper body only. He told me that, showed me his home gym setup. Unless. I looked at the text again. Read it 3 times. Then I opened his messages. Months of texts with Ethan. About workouts. About running times. About a hiking trip they'd planned. About his crazy fiancée who still doesn't know. The room started spinning. I sat down on the bed, scrolling through messages with hands that wouldn't stop shaking. There were others. A whole group chat called Marcus's Double Life, his brother, 2 friends, all of them in on it. All of them joking about how long he could keep it up. She's smart, one message said. Surprised she hasn't figured it out yet. Marcus is committed to the bit, another replied. Method acting at its finest. One message from 6 months ago, right after we got engaged. You really going through with this? She's actually buying the house? Marcus's reply. She's perfect. Smart, successful, not after my money. She proved it. She stays. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. I got in my car and drove to Portland. To the address on one of the gym messages. I don't remember the drive. I just remember parking outside a CrossFit gym and sitting there, waiting. At 2:15, Marcus came out. Walking. He was in athletic shorts and a t-shirt, carrying a gym bag, talking to another guy, laughing. His gait was completely normal, not even a limp, like he'd never spent a single day in a wheelchair. I watched him get into his truck, a different vehicle than the modified van I knew, and drive away. I followed him. I don't know why. Maybe I needed to see more. Maybe I needed it to be so undeniable that I couldn't talk myself out of what I knew. He drove to the beach house, our beach house, parked in the garage. I waited 20 minutes, then drove up. That's when I found myself in this doorway, watching him jog on the beach. I must have made a sound because he turned, saw me, and froze. For a moment, we just stared at each other across 50 yards of sand. Then he started walking toward me, walking normally, easily, like it was the most natural thing in the world. Claire, he said when he reached the deck, I can explain. You can walk. My voice sounded strange, far away. Yes, you've always been able to walk. Yes. Something broke inside me. The wheelchair, the accident, all of it. The accident was real, he said quickly. I was in a wheelchair for 6 months during recovery, but I walked again, years ago. I kept using it sometimes. Sometimes, I repeated. You kept using it sometimes. Let me explain. You've been lying to me for over a year. I was protecting myself. His voice rose. You don't understand what it's like. After the accident, after my ex left, I used the wheelchair to test people, to see who would stick around when things were hard, to see who actually loved me. I felt dizzy. You tested me. You passed, he said, and he actually smiled. Like this was a good thing. You were perfect, Claire. You learned about accessibility. You advocated for inclusive design. You loved me when you thought I was disabled. That's how I knew you were real. I gave up my career for you, I whispered. I never asked you to. I gave up everything! The scream tore out of me. I turned down the Seattle partnership. I left my firm. I put my entire savings into this house, into accessibility modifications that you don't even need. I was going to tell you, he said, before the wedding. I was planning this whole thing where I'd stand up at the altar. Get out. Claire. Get out of my house. It's my house too. I paid for half. Get out. I don't remember the rest of that day. I remember calling Rachel. Remember her driving down from Seattle, 3 hours on a Saturday night. Remember sitting on the deck, staring at the ocean, while she made phone calls. Marcus left. He took some things, got in his truck, his real truck, and drove away. The next few weeks were a blur. Lawyers, the firm lawyers. My mother crying. My father silent and angry in a way I'd never seen. Rachel's husband, Tom, was the one who said it. The guy's not right in the head. This isn't normal testing. This is pathological. But the worst part, the part that kept me up at night, my mother said, maybe you should forgive him. He's successful. He loves you. So he lied about one thing. One thing? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Mom, he faked a disability for over a year. But he had his reasons. His ex really did leave him. He was traumatized. So was I. David left me and I didn't spend the next 2 years lying to every person I met. We didn't speak for 3 months after that. Marcus tried to reconcile. Letters, flowers. He even showed up at the beach house one night, in the wheelchair again. "I'll go to therapy," he said through the door. "We can work through this." I didn't answer. Didn't open the door. My lawyer handled everything. We sold the beach house. I took my share of the equity, less than I'd put in, but I just wanted out. I took a position at a firm in Seattle. The job I'd turned down was gone, but they had an associate position open. I started over. Again. I thought about Marcus for a long time, about whether I'd been too harsh, whether his trauma excused his behavior, whether I threw away something good because I couldn't forgive one lie. Then I met Daniel. It was 2 years later. I was 46, working long hours again, and I'd convinced myself I was fine being alone. I was having lunch at a cafe near the firm when a man sat down across from me. "This might sound crazy," he said, "but you look like you could use a friend." Daniel was 52, a high school teacher, divorced with 2 grown kids. He was balding, had a slight paunch, and wore glasses that were 10 years out of style. He had no money, no flashy car, no beach house. But when he looked at me, he just saw me. Not a test, not a project, just me. We've been married for 8 years now. I'm 64. Daniel is 70. We live in a small house in Ballard with a garden that he tends, and a front porch where we drink coffee every morning. We're not rich. We're not glamorous. But I've never been happier. I heard through mutual friends that Marcus married someone else about 5 years ago, a younger woman, late 20s. I heard he told her the truth about the wheelchair from the beginning. I heard they're happy. Good for him, I guess. But here's what I learned, and it took me years to understand it. Love isn't about tests. It's not about proving yourself worthy. If someone loves you, they don't make you audition for the role. Marcus couldn't trust anyone because he'd been hurt. I get that now. But his solution wasn't to heal, it was to control. To create a scenario where he held all the power and all the information. That's not love. That's fear. And I spent too many years of my life being afraid. Afraid of being alone. Afraid of not measuring up. Afraid of my mother's disappointment and my sister's pity. When I left Marcus, I wasn't just leaving a man who lied. I was leaving the version of myself who thought I needed to be tested and approved before I could be loved. Daniel doesn't test me. He doesn't make me prove anything. He just loves me, flaws and all, gray hair and law degree and trust issues and everything. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I'd never seen those texts, if I'd married Marcus, if he'd stood up at the altar in front of all our friends and family, making his big reveal. Would everyone have applauded? Would they have thought it was romantic? Or would they have seen what I see now, a man so broken by his past that he broke someone else's present? I'll never know. What I do know is this. I'm sitting on my porch in Ballard, watching Daniel deadhead the roses, and I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. Not because I passed some test, not because I proved myself worthy, just because I chose this. And he chose me, and that's enough. More than enough. That's everything.